Órale, cholo, choque, los tres chingones, boxing shots, all the chingones y chingonas. So let's go ahead and talk about what happened this past Friday with Jake Paul getting in there against Andre August. Damn, dog. Okay, look. First of all, I understand that some people hate Jake Paul, and that's cool. That's fine. I'm not going to tell anybody not to hate him. That's fine. Hate him all you want. But he went in there and he delivered a sensational first round knockout. Now, you can go ahead and say, yeah, but who did he fight? Well, look, Jake Paul doesn't even have 10 fights, professional fights. Okay. He doesn't have an amateur career background, he doesn't have any of that stuff. And most of his opponents have not been boxers. This guy was an actual boxer, not a good one, but nonetheless, he was a boxer. I think he was like 35 years old, doesn't really have much of a boxing career, but again, nonetheless, Andre August is, however you want to say it, an actual boxer. He actually did step into the ring and compete against actual boxers. I don't mind. See, I think people that hate Jake Paul, that just want to see him lose, want him to fight, tough competition, tough boxers. But again, this guy has no amateur background. He doesn't even have 10 fights. So I don't hate the guy. I think he's doing some good for the sport of boxing. I'm not really talking about him getting in there and mixing it up in the ring. But him, having these undercards of other fighters that don't really get recognition, giving them some good paydays, having a little light being shined on them. But when we get to the fight, to his fight, he delivered a good uppercut, which laid out Andre August. And that's all she wrote, Holmes. So what was cool is actually seeing his brother Logan Paul in there with the United States title. Cheap little plug to Wrestling Rehab. But nonetheless, man, what is next for Jake Paul? Here's the thing. Let's not get all crazy, right? Okay, well, first of all, before I get to that, let me go ahead and say this. Yes, he is chasing, finger quotes, greatness, right? That's what he says. He says he wants to become a world champion at some point without having any amateur experience and just learning on the job. He wants to become a world champion of some sort. Can he do that? I mean, I believe he can, man. If he gets the right opponents, you get a weak champion, maybe it's possible, but I don't really see it happening. I understand he's called out like Canelo, but then again, who has not called out Canelo? Okay. So I'm not going to hate the guy just for that. Everybody calls out Canelo. It's the thing to do. And by the way, if that fight were ever to happen, believe me, that fight is going to sell. But I like the fact that Jake Paul, man, he had a fight on Friday and it was not pay-per-view. It ended in the first round. He came in, he made a statement. And what's next for him? I would say another fighter like this. I would say the next 3, maybe 4 opponents, which would be in the year 2024. Remember, this guy stays active. Hate on this dude. That's fine. Hate on him. But this guy fights. This guy stays active. He's not fighting once a year. He's not fighting twice a year. He's fighting 3, 4 times a year. Make fun of his competition. That's cool. That's fine. This guy came out of YouTube. He didn't come out of the boxing gym. He didn't grow up in the boxing gym. So he's fighting up to his level. I like when people were like, oh man, but who's he fighting? He's fighting, these MMA guys. Okay, well, who is he? He's a YouTuber. Why are people making it seem, man, like this guy has some sort of amateur pedigree or something like that? And then he goes in there against a basketball player, and it's like, oh, but he's fighting a basketball player. Well, why didn't the basketball player whoop his ass? This is a YouTuber and Jake Paul. He ain't a boxer. Slowly but surely, seems like he's kind of getting there. Look, I see a lot of holes in his game, obviously. But I would say, maybe the whole year of 2024, fight nothing but washed up, little to no name boxers, just so he could be in there with guys that were actual boxers. But hopefully, they stick around more than one round, like August did, and gives Jake Paul, something to work with, a couple of good rounds. But look, man, I don't have a problem with Jake Paul. I think it's fun. It's cool. I have no issue with it. There's some people saying like, oh man, he's a disgrace to boxing. He's a disgrace to boxing. You know what, man? There are so many fighters, so many actual finger quotes, actual boxers that I can name out that I believe are disgracing the name of boxing. For me to be over here worried about what Jake Paul is doing, to be worried about, oh man, what kind of name is this YouTuber giving the sport of boxing? No, I can actually point out at some actual boxers and say, now, Holmes, what are these fools over here doing, giving boxing a bad name? Not worried about what Jake Paul is doing. But nonetheless, man, what's your guys' thoughts about Jake Paul? What a great first round knockout with a nice, crisp, clean uppercut. What's next for him? Like I said, this guy stays active. He stays active. I believe he fights 3 times in 2024. Cholo Trucker, shouts to all the chingones y chingonas, los tres chingones boxing. Catch you guys all next round.